Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Happy Mind, Happy Life podcast, where we explore tools, practices, and mindset shifts to help you live with more clarity, peace, and joy. I am your host, Michelle Werdeman, and I am so grateful that you're here. What is happening, my friends? I hope whenever and wherever you are listening to this, you are having a fabulous day. It is a beautiful Friday in the fall in New England, and it's just that perfect, 60 degrees. Well, I guess it's perfect in my eyes, but you might not think so. You might like warmer weather, or heck, you might like colder weather. Anyway, it's such a beautiful day here, so I hope you are having a beautiful day whenever you're listening. I wanted to come on here and talk about something that has come up quite a bit lately, and it's something that I realized earlier this year that I was manifesting something that I didn't want. I am a huge manifester. I love manifesting so many beautiful things. We also hear that word manifesting thrown out there a lot. But when I say that, it's more tied to that phrase that you've probably heard where your focus goes, your energy flows. And that's really around what you focus on, you start to create. And what I realized earlier this year was I was creating a problem, a so-called problem, I should say, because in my mind, I kept telling myself certain stories that were creating this problem. And it was taking up so much mental space that it just got bigger and bigger. So I thought this was a great opportunity to come on here and talk about, really, if we look at the success that we've had in our lives, and then we look at the areas that may not be so successful in our own minds, like success means different things for different people, and how can we turn the script on those areas of our lives that don't seem to be panning out the way we want. And how can we kind of take from the areas that are, and when I say take, you'll see what I mean shortly, and apply some of these tools to the areas that aren't. Because so often, when we want to improve areas of our lives, we have a tendency to focus on what's not working. It's just what we do as humans. We zero in on a problem, and then we tell ourselves a story about, what's missing, what's broken, or what we wish we could fix. But what if instead we paid more attention to what is working? What if we looked at the areas where we're already thriving and asked, how did I create this? And how can I use this same energy to create more and to change another area of my life? I'll be honest, I've fallen into this trap of focusing so much on what I thought was wrong in certain areas that I made it into a bigger problem than it ever needed to be. I told myself the same story on repeat until it became a problem. And it's who says it's a problem? Nobody in my external world is telling me this is a problem. It was a problem I was creating in my own head. So think about an area of your life where this may be relevant to you. And I've also had moments where I realized, wait a second, there are parts of my life that are going really well. And when I zoomed out and looked at those areas, I saw patterns. The stories I was telling myself in those areas were totally different. They were supportive, they were empowering, and they were fueling my success. So let's start here. Take a moment to look at your life. Maybe it's your career, maybe it's a relationship, or maybe your health, whatever, finances. Finance is a huge one where I talk a lot with clients about what they're manifesting in their bank accounts based on the stories they're telling themselves. But I want you to think to yourself first, what's going well for me right now? Where am I thriving? Where do I feel like I'm successful? And again, success is different for everyone, and it looks different in each area. So think about what's going well for you right now. Where are you thriving? When you identify those areas, pause and celebrate them. You rock, my friend. Woohoo! Because they didn't happen by accident. You created them. Even if it feels subtle, your thoughts, your focus, and your energy shaped that reality. Right? So now, once you've identified what's working, here's the fun part. I love fun. Get curious about the stories you've been telling yourself in these areas. For example, if your career is thriving, maybe you've been telling yourself the story, I'm capable, I can figure things out, I belong in this space. And get creative. If it's your health, like maybe you are in very good shape, you're at a perfect weight and you're very healthy and you feel strong. Maybe your inner story is, I love moving my body. I feel energized when I take care of myself. Identify what your thoughts and your stories are that's helping you feel that way. And, maybe it's a relationship you're in a relationship that you're just so happy with, or you just feel so fulfilled and loved and supported. Maybe the thought running around the background is, I'm worthy of love and connection. I attract supportive people. Those thoughts are powerful. They fuel the actions that got you where you are today. This is no small task. I highly recommend you sit down, you take a little bit of time, identify those areas in which you're very happy with, you feel successful in, and look at the stories that you're telling yourself that has created that. And here's where it gets even more exciting. You can borrow from yourself. You can take those same empowering stories and apply them to areas where you feel stuck. Let's say finances are stressful, but you've already proven in your career that you're capable and resourceful. What if you told yourself the same story about money? I'm capable, I can figure this out, I belong in abundance. Or maybe you've been thriving in your relationship but struggling with your health. You've already, you know how to show up consistently, nurture connection, and build habits of love. What if you told yourself, I can nurture my body the way I nurture the people I care about? When you start to connect the dots, you realize you've already have the mindset strategies you need. You're already using them somewhere in your life. It's just about shifting them into the areas where you want to grow, where you have the so-called problems, the so-called, things that need to be fixed. You can take the same strategies, the same thoughts, the same beliefs, the same stories, and apply them to these areas where you've already used them and they've been successful. And this is one of my favorite parts about manifesting. It's not about starting from scratch. It's about noticing the evidence of where you've already been successful, leaning into that empowering story you've already told yourself, and expand them. Like when I look back, every area of growth in my life, whether it's relationships, finances, health, has been connected to the same core thoughts. I think things like, I'm worthy of good things. I'm capable. I can do hard things. I'm supported. And the more I focused and continue to focus on those empowering and supportive thoughts, the more goodness I see flow into my everyday life. So my invitation for you this week, instead of obsessing over what you think is wrong, spend some time celebrating what's right. Write it down, name the areas, and really look and congratulate yourself on where you're thriving. Then ask yourself, what stories have I been telling myself here that have helped me create this success? And how can I bring those same stories into the areas that feel more challenging? Because the truth is, my friends, you already have the evidence that you can create goodness. You've done it before, and you can do it again. You are not broken. Nothing needs to be fixed. yeah, when I realized and had such a big aha moment for myself this past, I think it was February, I was at a Gabrielle Bernstein live in Boston show. And I just remember sitting there. And like I said, I love manifesting so many good things into my life. She's a huge manifester, spiritual teacher, and coach and stuff. It just clicked in my brain. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been manifesting this so-called problem in my life because I keep focusing on it. It's taking up mental energy, and it's something that I thought need fixing, and that this particular area I was broken. And then I was like, oh my gosh, no, none of that is true. It just felt true because I've been thinking about it for so long. And then when I did all of these steps and I borrowed from the successful areas in my life, and I'm not embarrassed to say that I truly believe that there's a lot of areas in my life where I am successful. In my mind, somebody else might not think so, but in my mind I am. I just switched the thought process that I had for this particular so-called problem, and I started to look at it differently. And that's why I encourage you to just notice where you can shift your thinking. And the thing is, it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to all of a sudden start to believe something completely different when you've been telling yourself the same story over and over again for probably quite some time. It's small little shifts, and it takes practice over and over again to just fall into your subconscious where you start to think those more empowering thoughts without even having to stop and think about them. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. I hope this episode leaves you feeling empowered to notice your wins and use them as fuel for new creation. If this resonated with you, I'd love for you to share this episode with a friend or tag me on social media and let me know what's one area of your life that's thriving right now. I would love to celebrate with you. So until next time, remember, a happy mind truly, truly creates a happy life. Cheers, friends.